Human being uses three modes of communication: physical communication, including body language and signs; verbal communication, that is the spoken communication, the words we speak; and the written communication. To communicate and share information, ask questions, express wants and needs, express his feelings like happiness, anger, develop social relationship and social etiquettes, and help us to understand emotion and thoughts of others. According to Will Cradle of Hades, London, UK, an average woman speaks around 500 words per day, whereas an average man speaks around 2,000 words a day. And according to David Newport, UK, a working male speaks about 2,000 to 3,000 words, whereas a working female speaks about 10,000 to 20,000 words a day. Communication is the core element for human survival. It has both positive and negative impacts. A word spoken or a sentence written, a body posture, can only bring a positive change, positive impact to individuals, families, friends, and societies if we follow the universal ethical principles. To understand those principles, we have to reflect upon our faith. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to today's webinar presented by SEERANG Skills Development Institute, Canada. My name is Aziz Ahmed Hayat, and I'll be your facilitator, presenter for today's webinar. As the world around us changes every day, impacting our lives by COVID-19, our thoughts and prayers are with those, the first line medical, paramedical staff serving the humanity in these difficult times. We have learned many lessons from this COVID-19. One of the lessons learned is that we have to reflect back to our faiths. When I reflect back to my faith, it teaches me three important things. First is that I have to keep my body clean and pure. The second important lesson is that whatever I eat, it should be pure and clean. And the third and the most important lesson learned is that whatever I communicate to others should be done honestly and ethically, following the basic universal ethical principles. Today's this webinar is not any group specific. It is for the general public awareness. All individuals, teachers, students, businessmen, entrepreneurs, politicians, media persons, and the employees working in service industry can get benefit from this. We also offer very customized business communications trainings for organizations. Please feel free to contact us if you are interested in taking over these communication trainings. Whatever the mode of communication you use it, keep your self-esteem and integrity, यानी आपकी खुद एतमादी और सालिमियत on the top of the list. And secondly, also respect the integrity and self-esteem of others. This model of communication has high probability of compromising the messages, information, and feelings, as in this model, the sender does not put the message through a filter. And usually we have seen This filter has caused disinformation, distortion of the essence of information and messages, which can cause damages to the integrity and self-esteem of both senders and receivers. We have also seen a few individuals who have used this model to defame the others, especially the politicians and media persons, for their own short gains and benefits. It is our sincere advice that do not communicate for the sake of communication. Communicate with a purpose and to bring a positive impact for individuals and societies. There is another model, I call it ethical model, in which we pass the communication through a filter composed of universal principles. This model not only improves your integrity, your self-esteem, faith and trust of others, and your leadership capabilities. In this model, the sender takes the responsibility to the receiver. When we reflect upon our faiths, we find the foundation of this model in our faiths. One of the benefits of this COVID-19, the only benefit of the COVID-19, is that irrespective of the faith, religion, color, nationality, everyone started showing sympathy and empathy to each other. And each of us became the experts. I received hundreds of messages, voice messages, text messages, emails, which has both positive and negative impacts on our lives, which has increased the importance of applying ethical and intellectual approach in our communications. Now let's discuss the three modes of communication: the verbal communication, the written communication, and the non-verbal communication. For verbal communication, there is a speaker and there is a listener. To make the verbal communication effective and successful, both the speaker and listener should have some techniques, some tools to communicate. For example, the speaker should have a command on language, voice, tone, frequency, and volume. Similarly, he should overcome the psychological barriers such as mood, happiness, emotion, anger, and stress, and he should overcome the physiological barriers such as state of body and mind, sensory dysfunctions, physical dysfunctions, speaking issues, listening issues, etc. The physical barriers can be overcome by using appropriate technologies. There may be structural and organizational issues, barriers, so we need to understand those structural and barriers to overcome. The last but not the least is the behavior of the speaker. He should know the do's and don'ts to be used in his communication. From a listener perspective, how he understands and receives this information depends on many factors. His mood, he should not be personal prejudice. He should understand the body language of the speaker, such as facial expression, also show empathy towards speaker and should not stress the speaker. The most important thing is that he should focus on message, not on words. And he should remember the ideas and messages of the speaker conveyed to him. The Fourier model of listening proved to be most responsible model of hearing in eliminating the distortions, rejecting the miscommunication and disinformation, understanding the point of view of a speaker, remembering the main points and ideas, interpreting the message for feedback, evaluating wisely, and responding and giving his feedback without being prejudiced to the speaker, showing empathy, expressing opinions, putting questions, and asking for clarifications and references if required. The non-verbal mode of communication proved to be more powerful than verbal communication, which includes body language, eye contacts, facial expression, postures, distancing, voice, touch, behavior and time, etc. Case studies proves that 55% of the message generated is by our body language. 33% message comes from tone of voice. 7% of message conveyed by the words. When verbal and non-verbal communications contradicts, non-verbal communication is considered to be mostly true. Irrespective of you're writing in a personal email, in a WhatsApp message, or writing a business letter, business email, business reports, minutes of meetings, for example, it is imperative to adopt some best practices. You should know the purpose and aim of this communication, know the audience, focus on content and subject, explain if some terms are unexplainables, distinguish between facts and opinions, use simple language. It is always said less is more than it comes to the length. Use an active voice, check spellings, grammar and punctuations, and top of the list is write to bring in a positive impact. Stay safe and healthy and look after your loved ones.